On behalf of the class, I would like to welcome you to the performance section of our 1916 Commemoration Critical Reflection event. When we were originally tasked with holding the event, I posed the question to myself, what was the most meaningful story of 1916 for me? The answer to that question was undoubtedly the marriage of Joseph Mary Plunkett and Grace Gillard. As I come from a drama background, I decided to put together a short drama reenactment and involve the class in the production. This was a whole new experience for the class, and much learning and reflection took place throughout rehearsals. I would like to thank everyone for their commitment to the production and for stepping outside of their known comfort zone and stepping onto the stage. After this performance, we will then have a sound and visual scape performance, which will take place here to my right. And then we'll have Jim Quinn and John Buggy perform on stage also. So please put your hands together. So for the third year student community, enjoy the performance.
There is a period of Irish history dominated by the insurrection of Irish rebels against British rule in Ireland. It was a time when Ireland examined its conscience and came down firmly on the side of those brave men who led once again the fight for Irish freedom. Many tragic events and heroic stories have emerged over the years regarding the events surrounding the Easter Rising, but it is fair to say that there is none as poignant as that of Joseph Mary Plunkett and Grace Evelyn Gifford. Joseph Mary Plunkett was born in Dublin and was the son of George Noble Plunkett. He suffered poor health at a young age and was stricken with tuberculosis, and as a result he spent much of his youth in the warm climate of Italy and Egypt. Throughout his life he took an interest in Irish heritage and the Irish language. He joined the Gaelic League and took on as a tutor Thomas MacDonagh, with whom he formed a lifelong friendship. The two were both poets and had a huge interest in theatre, and both were early members of the Irish Volunteers. Grace Evelyn Gifford was born on March 4, 1888, at her family home in Rathmines, an affluent Dublin suburb. She was the second eldest of 12 children. Her father, Welford Gifford, was a wealthy attorney and a Catholic. Isabella Burton Gillard was a wealthy solicitor and a Protestant. The daughters were raised in their mother's faith. The son was raised as Catholic. In 1904, at the age of 16, Grace entered the Dublin Metropolitan School of Art, where her talent for caricature was soon discovered among Grace's classmates. Among them was Willie Pearce, Padraig's younger brother, who was training to be a sculptor. Through another Irish journalist, Miss Nora Dryhurst Grace was introduced to further leaders of the 1916 Rising, such as Countess Markievicz, Thomas MacDonagh, Plunkett, Pearce and Maud Gonne. At the time he met Grace, Joseph was actively involved in the planning of an annual insurrection against British rule of Ireland while serving on the executive of the Irish Volunteers. Joseph became the director of military operations for the Irish Republican Brotherhood, with Padraig and Thomas taking on the leadership positions. As key strategists, Joseph was stationed at the GPO, which became the commercial post for the combined forces that James Connolly named the Irish Republican Army, the IRA. Having recently had surgery on his glands, most of Joseph's time was spent in bed, and in the days leading up to the Rising. As the 1916 Rising was approaching, they knew that they needed Plunkett. They went to his bedside and asked him to come and help at the GPO. He rose from his bed and went with Pearce to help defend the GPO. Much of Dublin was looted and burned, and innocent citizens of all ages were being shot by the British forces. Joseph and the others were badly wounded. It was here that they left the GPO and retreated to a Moore shop. Here, Pierce and the other volunteers laid down their arms. They were then taken away to be executed. Before the rising, Joseph told Grace that he wanted the wedding to take place even if he was jailed. Upon knowing that Joe was to be executed at dawn on May 4th, Grace bought wedding rings at a shop on Grafton Street late afternoon on May 3rd. Wearing a dress and a shawl, Grace arrived at Kilmainham Jail at around 6 p.m, where she was kept waiting at the prison chapel until 11:30, when Joe was brought in under heavy guard. Two soldiers acted as witnesses. The only light in the chapel came from 2 candles. The quick ceremony was performed by Father Eugene McCarthy, the only prison chaplain.
Repeat after me. I, Joseph Mary Plunkett,
I, Joseph Mary Plunkett,
do take you, Grace Evelyn Gillard,
take you, Grace Evelyn Gillard,
to be my lawful wedded wife,
to be my lawful wedded wife,
for richer
for richer
or poorer,
or poorer,
in sickness and in health,
in sickness and in health,
so help me God.
so help me God.
I, Grace Evelyn Gillard,
I, Grace Evelyn Gillard,
do take you, Joseph Mary Plunkett,
do take you, Joseph Mary Plunkett,
to be my lawful wedded
to
husband,
be my lawful wedded husband,
for richer or poorer,
for richer or poor,
in sickness and in health,
in sickness and in health,
so help me God.
so help me God.
On this day, May the 3rd, 1916, I now pronounce you man and wife.
Joseph and Grace were not allowed any time alone together.
No! No! We had not enough time to say what we wanted to each other. The cell was packed full of guards, and a sergeant that held a watch in his hand ended the meeting by saying, "Your time is now up."
While awaiting execution, Joseph told the priest,
Father, I want you to know that I'm left for the glory of God and the honour of Ireland.
Joe was then taken to the courtyard to be executed. At 3:30 a.m. on May 4th, Joe was executed by the firing squad. The following morning, the tragic romance was revealed to the world in this simple announcement in the births, marriages and deaths of the Irish Times.
Plunkett and Gillard, May 3rd, 1916. Joseph Mary Plunkett to Grace Evelyn Gillard.
Sons and daughters of Ireland, we have once been betrayed by the British government. We must stand together and fight to make our land our own again. So stand with me, brothers and sisters.
She used her talents to promote Sinn Féin policies and earn her living as a commercial illustrator. She was elected to the executive of Sinn Féin in 1917. Grace and her sisters were strongly opposed to the Treaty of Ireland, which divided the country. She was very devoted to her several nieces and nephews and spent much of her time with family. Grace also joined the company of her friends at many cultural events in her beloved Dublin had to offer. Grace Evelyn Gifford died on December 13, 1955. She was buried with full military honours. Her coffin was draped with a tricolour, the very same tricolour that flew over the GPO all those years ago in 1916. Grace said,
I love Joseph Plunkett, and he loves me. He died to set Ireland free.
The Life and Times of Joseph Mary Plunkett and Grace Evelyn Gifford.
As we gather But in the chapel here in old Kilmainham jail, I think about these past few weeks. Oh, will they say we failed? From our school days they have told us we must yearn for liberty. And all I want in this dark place is to have you here with me. Oh, Grace, just hold me in your arms and let this moment linger. They'll take me out at dawn and I will die. With all my love I place this wedding ring upon your finger. There won't be time to share our love. Oh, we must say goodbye. Now I know it's hard for you, my love, to ever understand the love I bear for these brave men, my love for this dear land. Oh, when Padraig called me to his side down in the GPO, I had to leave my old sick bed. For him I had to go. Oh, Grace, just hold me in your arms and let this moment linger. They'll take me out at dawn and I will die. With all my love I place this wedding ring upon your finger. There won't be time to share our love, for we must say goodbye.
Hi, my name is Siobhan. So this is my 1916 project. I picked this topic because I didn't really know much about 1916 myself, and I wanted to get more of a knowledge, and I wanted to see, did people have the same as me? Like, I thought the way 1916 was taught in school was terrible. I really didn't have an interest in it, and when I was in school I didn't really get to be listen to the topic because I was out for personal reasons. So that was another reason that I picked it, and from doing the research I can see that there is a lot of people that don't know much about 1916 at all. They just well, not that they don't know much, they know a little bit, but they only know how it was taught in school. They don't know anything about like the little untold stories or anything like that. They only know what they're taught about in school, and a lot of people thought it's very repetitive, and I personally think that is the case, and I'd like to know how other people think it should be taught in school. Doing this project is really personal for myself. It's made me think that I have know what my barrier was to 1916. I didn't like 1916 because it was a time of personal grief. I wasn't in school and I never got to learn about it, so I never wanted to learn about it. But now that it's such a big deal, it's made me grieve with that and develop and think that I shouldn't be, just because I wasn't in school, I shouldn't be scared about it, and I should embrace it. And I think I'm really happy that I got to pick this topic and talk about it now, because doing this project has made me know more stuff. I know people's names, I know why it happened, when it happened, and as you can see in this video, there's a lot more people talking about it, so I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
What do you know about 1916?
Well, I know that about 1916, about how it was a big change in Irish time compared to contemporary Ireland, how it changed everything, basically how we live today, that it had a massive impact on stuff. I learned about it in school, about all the big names, about Connolly and Pearse, and just basically everything. I used to know all the dates and everything off by heart, but I don't anymore. It was only in doing this assignment that I realised I don't actually know as much as I used to know. So I had to start refreshing my mind and stuff. So, I mean, yeah.
Was school the only way you learned about 1916?
A lot of it was in school, but when I was very young, I didn't really want to learn history and it wasn't as important to me as it is now. Like, it's now I actually want to learn about it. So where in school it was just like an exam and stuff, and it was just like any other subject really. But I learned a lot as well from like my family and stuff, that my father was telling me stories, and basically about like in Kerry, like just so many local people that were like involved, like their families were involved in movements and involved with the IRA and involved in helping and everything really. Just people that like, it's all loads of just your everyday person done like small little jobs and stuff. And yeah.
You've kind of already answered this, but do you think the way that it's taught in school is good?
For me, obviously, yeah, like I said, when I was younger, I didn't really enjoy it, and I think talking to a lot of people and doing my project that they didn't enjoy it, as in it was just another subject. But like for me, I think it needs to be taught, as in like maybe try to get them to feel it, like as in when we first thought that we were doing this project, everyone was like, "Oh, this is going to be hard. I don't want to do this." But it's where I don't say 100% say yeah. But I think it should be like, you know, it's not just another talking point. This is part of history. It's 100 years since it happened. I mean, we're speaking English right now. It involves everyone. Like everyone in Ireland has an impact on everyone. So I think kids and stuff should feel that in a way, you know.
How would you like to teach the future generation about 1916?
Yeah, that's a tricky one. I wouldn't really know how I would teach it. Maybe like I said, just try to get them to kind of feel it more. Maybe more kind of group work, kind of more interactive kind of stuff, not just sitting down and reading dates off a book, you know, because I mean that's why I didn't like it. You're trying to memorise dates like the 1916 rise and in the 20s the rebellion. You're trying to remember all the major dates, the major turning points, and it's just like you don't enjoy learning it then. So maybe it should be. I know it's a hard topic and stuff, but maybe make it more fun for the learner, you know.
Do you think it has an impact on you today, or is it just the fact that it's 100 years, a lot of people are talking about it?
Well, because it's 100 years, obviously it's loads of people are talking about it now, and maybe like not as many people were talking about it last year and won't be next year. It's the fact that it's 100 years and you live to see this, but none of us will live to see such a thing again. Like, we're not going to live for the 100 years of some movement ever again, you know. I mean, like, you only get, this is the only thing that's going to happen in our lifetime, so it's big that way. But it's also big, like I said around, we're speaking English right now because of English rule in Ireland, and we're, you know, we still don't have six counties back because of that. I mean, there's so many things really, like how it had an impact on us. And in contemporary Ireland now today, it's not as, I mean, I don't have a negative view on English people. I know people that are very anti-English, you know, they don't like English people because of what happened, but I mean, that's the way, I just look at it as that's the way the world was, and like, people, you kind of took what you wanted back then and stuff, and I would obviously prefer for there to be a reunited Ireland, all 32 counties, but I mean, that's up to the people to vote for and decide, you know, so yeah.
What do you know about 1916?
About 1916, I know that a group of men and women came together to fight for a free Ireland, to be free from British rule and to have a country of our own.
Was school the only place you learned about 1916?
No, it wasn't. Con Colbert, who was one of those executed, came from my home place, Athay. So there's a lot of markers around the village to him. There's murals, little plaques and things around the village. So I suppose we're always curious as to what was in the plaques and why were the plaques there. So we learned about Con Colbert through that, and we did learn a bit through school as well, but it was mostly through spotting things.
And the way you were taught about it in school, do you think it was good or bad?
It was good, I suppose. Like I said, we had a local connection, so we were interested, you know, to know about this man, to see where he grew up and where his family live now. So I think as a community we've strong links to 1916.
How would you like to teach the next generation about 1916?
I suppose, how would I like to teach them? I believe it's important that everyone does know about our history and how we are Irish citizens today. I think I like the Irish flag. I think it's a meaningful flag. You know, if you study the flag and the colours around it, that, you know, we should be all proud of our flag. So maybe if we always start with the flag, you know, today is National Proclamation Day, and flags are raised all over the country. So maybe, you know, if these flags were maintained and kept on school premises for the rest of the school times would be good.
Okay. Do you think 1916 has an impact on your life today?
Of course it has, yeah. I'm an Irish citizen, I'm not a British citizen. It has an impact. It has changed our country dramatically for different reasons and different ways. But it has a major impact. You know, if those leaders didn't fight for freedom in 1916, who knows where we could be now.
Do you think 1916 has more of an impact this year because it's the 100th year, or do you think it always has an impact?
I think that, yeah, there's definitely more about it this year, of course, because you're celebrating 100 years and it's all over the media and all over papers and everything. So it shouldn't have more of an impact this year, but I suppose it has made us more aware of our culture and of what did happen in 1916. So going forward, it'll only be positive.
What do you know about 1916?
I don't know that much about 1916. I know that it was a big rebellion that took place across the country trying to get Ireland's freedom from England. Besides that, I'd only know little stories, like the common stories you'd hear about, you know, Michael Collins being shot, Bill Blood. The things you see in the films is kind of the only things I'd really know.
Was school the only way you thought you learned about 1916?
School would be the main way I was taught about 1916, but films and kind of hearsay and kind of just dramas on the telly, like the 1916 rebellion that was on RT1 recently, would be like a huge place that you'd learn, but besides that it was mostly school.
And do you think the way you were taught about it in school was good or bad?
The fact that I can't really remember much from school, I'd say it was taught bad. But it was probably taught good, but I think the interest at the time wasn't there. Whereas now the interest is there, so I think I kind of picked it up and kind of more interested now. So I'd say remember it more now.
How would you like to teach like the future generation about 1916?
I definitely have it more visual than just learning from textbooks. I think the visual aspects and like the documentaries and the films that are out there are like so educational, and they're worth way more than someone telling you about a book or, you know, reading it from a textbook.
Do you think 1916 has an impact on your life today?
I think it has a huge impact on every Irish person's life today. I don't think we'd be the society that we are if 1916 didn't happen. I don't think that we'd have the things that we have, such as like our flag, our music, our culture, our sports. So I think it has a huge impact on Irish people's lives today.
Do you think that it's so important this year because it's 100 years, or do you think it still would be, even though if it wasn't?
I think it's being more highlighted this year because of its centenary value, and that it is 100 years and it's a big milestone in Irish society, but it should be kind of highlighted every year, but it won't be, and people will probably forget about it next year, the year after.
Stephen Fuller was a Fenian leader in the Stowchlea area during the War of Independence after 1916. He was opposed to the treaty in the Civil War in 1922 and fought in the anti-treaty IRA during the Irish Civil War. Fuller and 8 other IRA members, they were kidnapped by anti-treaty forces and they were taken to Ballyseedy Wood. The men were strapped to a landmine, all of them together, and it was allowed to blow up. Fuller survived the explosion, but his 8 comrades were killed. He was badly wounded, but he escaped because the soldiers, they had their coffins laid out to begin with, and as far as they knew, he was dead, but by the time they figured out he was alive, he'd already escaped. He escaped to tell others of the event and challenged the National Army version that the prisoners had died while clearing a road booby-trapped by the anti-treaty IRA. Fuller left the IRA after the Civil War and joined Fianna Fáil. He remained active in local politics during the 1980s. So my father was my age when your mum was still alive, and he was very reluctant to be telling the story. It was only later in his life that he would kind of tell people about it.
Free State troops landed at Feenet on August 2, 1922. They had the work before them which the English forces had abandoned, of destroying the People's Alliance to the Republic and making Ireland a domination of the British Crown. They knew that they must use more vigorous methods than their processes were they to succeed where these had failed. They had fear as an added incentive, the fear that if they did not do these things to the Republicans, these things would be done by the English to themselves. They captured Sean Moriarty and James Healy on August 27th in their homes. They marched them through Tralee to Bluna Convent, where they dragged Healy over a ditch and into a field. An officer shot him through the body and left him, believing him to be dead. He dragged himself, bleeding and in agony, to a house. While he was crawling away, he heard shots. The people of the house were not Republicans, but they sheltered him and sent for a priest and a doctor, and his life was saved. They sent word to Sean Moriarty's family. Sean was found in the field, riddled with bullets, dead.
So my great-grandfather, Pat Shogi, was kidnapped along with several other men coming out of mess on Sunday by British forces. It was during the War of Independence. They were very kind of into the IRA back then. And they're saying to the British base in Limerick and kind of brutally interrogated, people asking them, like, who's in the IRA here or whatever. But none of them budged at all, like, you know, they all kind of stood their ground and they all survived as well, like, you know, kind of remained active in the fight for independence in Kerry.
One day, the English army and British soldiers decided to march through the town. It was a way of putting fear into people. They would march through towns and villages, showing off their guns, showing off their weapons, even showing off their tanks. It was really hard for people to watch and stand by as another army marches through your country, your town, your home. It was really degrading. As they got onto Denny Street, 4 men appeared at the bottom of the road in front of the Ash Hall. They seemed to have no fear. They were standing there with their chests out, staring towards the army of soldiers. As the soldiers marched closer and closer, the men did not budge. The men then started picking up sods of turf and bits of stick and threw it at the army. They were fearless. They were tired of being pushed around. The soldiers then retaliated and surrounded the men and began to beat them as onlookers stood by. The soldiers kept beating them when men and women started to throw pots and pans out of the above windows of their houses.
Dennis Broderick, a member of the IRA, was only 22 years old when he was murdered by British soldiers. It all happened on the 24th of May 1921, when an ambush was prepared for a British convoy that was expected to travel from Tralee to Castleisland. Several unarmed scouts preceded the main ambush party, which was composed of seasoned veterans of the Ballymckelligot Company, led by Tom McEllistrum. The plan was to detonate a device as the patrol passed. McEllistrum's group of 7 riflemen moved into position. 4 scouts preceded the main party to ensure that there was no enemy presence in the vicinity. 2 of these scouts went by the main road and the other 2 on the by-roads towards the bridge. Dennis Broderick and his comrade approached the railway bridge from the side road to declare the area safe and wait for the attack party to arrive at the ambush site. Unbeknownst to them, a party of English soldiers had travelled onto the old and unused road from Ballyseedy Cross, behind the now known modern Earl of Desmond. From there, the soldiers could reach the bridge undetected. As Broderick and his companion arrived at the bridge, they had passed the enemy position without even realising it. McEllistrum, Carmody and the others of the main party walked towards the bridge, where they were met with a shout to halt. Carmody replied with a shot from his rifle. A gun battle ensued and lasted for about 15 minutes before the IRA withdrew. Broderick, who was on the bridge, was killed, whilst the remainder of the ambush party escaped. The British soldiers called to my grandparents' house and pulled them out, explained what had just happened to my uncle and pointed their guns at them. Someone had managed to intervene and make the soldiers leave without shooting them. I remember my father saying how scared he was. He was only 13 years old at the time and he had just found out that his older brother had been killed, and now his parents were being threatened in their own home. My grandmother had to go and find my Uncle Dennis, just left where he was killed, in a horrendous condition. After a while, they got a coffin and went to the church, where they were met by the local priest, who denied them entry into the church. One of Dennis's comrades pushed the priest out of the way, and they proceeded into the church for his funeral.
I was going to do a lovely song, and then I changed my mind because Margaret said don't. So I'm not going to do a lovely song, but I was going to do a ballad, but I think you've got enough ballads for one day for a second. So, and John Buckley is going to do one of his songs in a few moments from his album. So just to be contrary, I said I'll do one of my own songs as well. This kind of song is by about an Irish fella who he left his small town and he went away to work in London, and he left his love behind him. And what he found in London wasn't what he expected, and he found that the city was so big and people didn't know each other, and he wasn't used to it, you know. And coming to a small town where everyone knew everybody else. Told you that I'd miss you someday. With regretful eyes, slowly stroll our separate ways. I'm missing you, I miss teasing you. Here I stand in foreign land, the good, the bad, and the raving mad. Second thought on my waking day, regretful eyes, I should have stayed, I should have gone, I should have stayed, I should have gone, I should have stayed. Moments like these, I'll be thinking of you. Day by day, our sun train on, never would see the same face twice, and day by day I stood in line. I never would see the same face twice, and I never would see the same face twice, and I never would see the same face twice. Change will heal, rearrange, will hide regretful eyes, will simmer thoughts the heart provides. I see a face, I see a face, still in time with the streets. Lovers walk, lovers meet. The second thought of my waking day, regretful eyes, I should have stayed, I should have gone, I should have stayed, I should have gone, I should have stayed. Moments like these, I'll be thinking of you. Day by day, our sun train, I never would see the same face twice, and day by day I still line. I never would see the same face twice, and day by day I still line. I never would see the same face twice, and day by day I still line. I never would see the same face twice, and I never would see the same face twice, and I never would see the same face twice. Moments like these, I'll be thinking of you. Thank you. Introducing Mr. John Rodney. Give it up for Jimmy Quinn there. Great song. Feels very strange to be singing in here for a change. Elements of uncertainty, under the shadow of doubt. Or you're a queen of quiet desperation, a victim of your situation. It's time to spit it out. Are you thinking of solitude? Are you thinking of space? Oh, you've been feeling isolated, contemplating separation. I see it in your face. So tell me what's on your mind. From here on in the road gets rougher. One of us is bound to suffer, so tell me what's on your mind. Maybe this is paranoia, so let me make this easy for you. I'm tired of trying to read between the lines. Won't you tell me what's on your mind? Are you thinking of leaving me? Or am I thinking too much? Oh, are you thinking of what I'm thinking? Baby, this old ship is sinking in. It's the end for us. Are you thinking the fire's gone out on all the bridges we burned? Yeah, I'm tired of all this analyzing. You and I are just arriving at the point of no return. So tell me what's on your mind. Hey, I can feel the walls shaking, rocking us to our foundations. So tell me what's on your mind. I'm sick of all this contemplation. Let's restore communication. I'm tired of trying to read between the lines. Won't you tell me what's on your mind? Tell me what's on your mind. From here on in the road gets rougher. One of us is bound to suffer, so tell me what's on your mind. Maybe this is paranoia, let me make this easy for you. I'm tired of trying to read between the lines. Won't you tell me what's on your mind? Please tell me what's on your mind. Won't you tell me what's on your mind? What's on your mind? Can you tell me? What's on your mind? Thank you very much. Thank you.
and she stepped away from me, and this she did say, it will not be long, love, till our wedding day. She stepped away from me, and she moved through the fair, and fondly I watched her move here and move there, and she went her way homeward with one star awake, as the swans in the evening move over the people were saying no to when, but one has a sorrow that never was said, and she smiled as she passed me with her goods and her gear, and that was the last that I saw of my dear. I dreamed it last night that my true love came in. So softly she entered, her feet made no din. She came close beside me, and this she did say, it would not be